Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the Middle East. Everybody knows that the Middle East has always been considered a powder keg. It's always been a very brutal, unforgiving area of the world. Lately, it has been boiling over. I mean, they're even a little bit outside of the Middle East. I mean, you go Libya, Egypt, Syria. They've all been in the middle of civil wars or uprisings. A very transitional period for them. Iraq has been in turmoil ever since we walked in there and scrambled up their world and basically took care of Saddam Hussein. Now there's bombings going on in the Gaza Strip again. It looks like it's coming apart. So it brings up the question, is there a solution to the turmoil in the Middle East? I've been thinking long and hard about that. And I understand there are people out there that's their job, it's their life's work to try to figure this out. So to have me putting together my theory might seem a little bit pompous. But I have a very logical mindset. And when you work from a logical mindset, you start ruling things out until you get to the only possible solution there might be. The whole thing is clusterfucked. The only word that actually works. And you have multiple religions. I mean, hell, there's like 10 different religions just in Lebanon alone. Much less you run into all the other philosophies and lifestyles and religions that permeate the area. Then you have the ethnic groups. This isn't a case of like one group. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, the Middle East is dominated by the Arabs. They're not the only indigenous ethnic groups in the area. I mean, the Iranian people are not always considered Arab. There's the Kurds, the Turkic people. I mean, that includes the Syrian and the Iraqi Turkmens, the Assyrians, the Jews. Even them, they're split into various types of Jews. The Georgians, the Armenians. There's Greeks there. I mean, you got the Azerbaijanis, the Balochs, the Assyrians, the Syriacs. I'm trying to think who else I'm missing. The Egyptians themselves, Palestinians, Bedouins, Druze, Bahranis, the Samaritans, the Azuris, and who knows how many other ones. The Shabak. I mean, right there, I've already named a dozen of them, and there's more than that. You have that many types of people all in one region, you're gonna have problems. So, what do you do? Okay, well, from the Western Hemisphere and the European standpoint, you could just say screw it and let them all deal with their own problems. That doesn't work out too well. Inevitably, it goes to a lot of bloodshed. It ends up being the person who's the best armed, and in the end, it's going to come down to it's not going to be done internally. Somebody's going to have their fingers in it, whether it's the Russians, us, the Americans, the Indians, the Chinese, whoever. Somebody's going to have their fingers in it for whatever reason, trying to influence exactly what's going to happen there. And when they start arming somebody, we're going to have a problem, because those people are going to gain dominance, not because they necessarily deserve it, but because somebody else decided that they were the most useful to them, or they fit whatever motif they felt should be there. So that kind of leaves it out. Okay, so you can't just ignore them and leave them alone. Okay, can you contain them? Can you basically internalize it through outside forces to let them work out whatever they need to work out? No, you can't. Because then you're going to have something like Bosnia and Serbia where the atrocities will grow and public demand will force at least America to get involved, probably some of our erstwhile allies. Okay, so that's not going to work. Do we send troops in? Well, we've seen how well that's worked. To a lot of people, it's been a pointless exercise. I understand why we've done it. But the American government and the American military has taken on this role of they're pushing on the door to becoming the policeman of the world. The American government doesn't have balls necessary for this. You either need to be all in or all out if you're going to do that. Either you need to not be involved or you need to be all the way in. We haven't jumped all the way in. If we were going to be the policeman of the world, we need to do it, and we need to get our allies and get them involved. The UN peacekeeping forces and sanctions, it doesn't work. You need to have somebody go in there who's going to be pretty much iron-fisted ass kickers. So we'd go in there and we would settle the issues, and we would round up the troublemakers. Of course, if we could do that, then we'd already have gone into North Korea and kicked the crap out of that little pumpkin-headed dictator there. But we haven't done that, have we? So, the police of the world doesn't seem to be working because we're not going to be committed enough. We're not dedicated enough to do it. And nobody else has got that same kind of dedication and the power and the resources to also do it. Okay. Well, you could let them break up into all their little, little nation states based around ethnicity or religion. Yeah, that's not going to work too well either. Because in the end, you're going to have the big bad neighbors who are going to go gobble stuff up unless we get involved. It's exactly what Iraq tried to do to Kuwait. If the American people, if the American military hadn't gotten involved, Kuwait would have become a satellite state of Iraq. So that's not working too well. What does that leave us? I mean, you've got religions that are based around theological superiority, religions that actually make it out that if you martyr yourself, you're going to go to heaven and be surrounded by so many virgins and everything else. You have religions that at their head have vengeful gods that will actually reward you for murder and terrorism. That makes things difficult. Well, unless we're going to go into the extremes like extermination or stuff like that, which isn't never going to be feasible, it leaves us with one option. And when I say one option, okay, you could break it into two. Either A, the entire area needs to be blended into its own form of like the United States of America, where it's going to have a centralized government that is run by either a democracy, a representative like a Republican type situation or whatnot. A republic sounds like it might work the best for this. Then you can take all those people and break them up into little, almost like, I won't call them nation states, but it'd be more like states. and then they would all have their voice on the council, on the Senate, the whatever you want to call it, the Republican committee, the House of Lords, whatever it may be called. Then, and perhaps only then, are we going to see a lessening to the problems there. The secondary solution would be something similar, but for the ones that are too far apart in their ways of thinking, you might be able to break it into 2 or 3 smaller republics, and you can put like-minded with like-minded, so that there is a chance that they're going to get along a little bit better. To me, this is the only solution that would work if somebody had the drive and dedication to go forth and find the people to do this, to find those charismatic leaders, whether they be generals, politicians, chieftains, clerics, whatever it may be. Every nation has these people. The Arabic people and the people of the Middle East are not savages. They're not bloodthirsty maniacs. They're not stupid. They are a very intelligent people. They are just hampered by a millennia of prejudice and feuding, of grudges that just don't go away. I believe the tools were put there for them, that they would make use of them. These tools could lead them to a brighter future, and I believe that they would grab onto this, because I believe they're smart enough to do that. The key is finding the right people, finding the people that want to do this, finding the people that are going to be dynamic in the formation of their government, the people that believe in it, that actually are going to support it. Yeah, you'll have hiccups. Look at us. We had our hiccups. We even had our own civil war. We've had race riots. We've gone a long way. I mean, we still have racial issues from time to time, but they're not near on the scale that we've seen. I mean, we have hate crime laws. You kill somebody because of their race, you're going to jail. They need some kind of deciding factor there. They need some kind of centralized government. They need something that's going to draw them together. And draw them together in a way that is going to bond them, and then make them ready to, I guess, enter the greater world as a whole as an equal and benevolent partner to the world. The problem is, we got this group ISIS. I'll call it ISIS because it's ISIS. They've supplanted people from their homes. They're taking cities by force. They're taking oil fields. They're taking bases. They're taking airports. They're doing all this by force. What are they going to do next? If they manage to create this Islamic State, which they haven't given a name as far as I've heard at this point, what happens if they get their hands on nuclear weapons? Are they going to do the whole, America is the heathens of the world and they're going to come after us? Are they going to start bombing embassies? Are they going to start protecting and funding terrorists? Like they did, what is it, the Bekaa Valley? B-E-K-A, I don't know how to pronounce it. There are too many unknowns there for me to feel like we can trust something like this ISIS group. They haven't come out and they haven't, for lack of a term, given us a mission statement. What are their aims? What are their beliefs? What are their long-term goals? What niche do they intend to fit within the world? Are they going to be benevolent, or are they going to be a malignant force within this world? If we can't trust them, that is the right step, though. A unification. I really believe that. I believe there's got to be a unification. You don't have to love each other. You don't even have to get along with each other at all times. But you got to be willing to compromise. You got to be willing to accept the majority rule. And if the majority of representatives, and this is when there's equal representation, decide that something is going to happen this way, you got to be willing to accept that. You got to choose your battles, and you have to choose your method of battle. And I'm getting to the point where this method of everything involves beheadings or guns or, just blood in general. But guess what? It hasn't worked for how long, you dumb sons of bitches? I've sit here and said about how intelligent you are, but you're still dumb. There's a difference between being stupid and dumb. Stupid to me is you're uneducated. That you're a simpleton. Dumb means you know better, but you're still taking the actions that are screwing you up. And right now I feel like they're being dumb sons of bitches. Somebody needs to step forth, grow a pair of testicles, and stand forth for peace. They need their own Gandhi. They need, somebody like that. Some unifying force. They need that person. They need a Nelson Mandela. Somebody. Unfortunately, what have they gotten? Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. I mean, these have been losing situations from the get-go for them. So I hope that one day we can see this unification happen in some way, because I really think this is the only way. I think it's going to come down to, in the end, it's either going to be stand together or die apart. It's going to go one way or the other. And I think we're at that critical juncture for the Middle East. It has started. It has been boiling over for a long time. It's now percolating. The bubbles that are coming up are too much. They're coming out of the pot. And therefore, this is the time period where the future of the Middle East is going to be determined. We're living in it. We're living in one of those critical moments, and very few people recognize when it happens. Who recognized that they were living in the beginning of the Bronze Age, or they were, living in the beginning of the Renaissance? They didn't really recognize it at the time. I believe we're in a new age. I believe this is where the Middle East is either going to come apart or it's going to come together. I don't believe that coming apart is going to be as beneficial to the world. I don't think it's going to be as easy to the world. And I think it's going to slow down the progress of the world as a whole. If they come together, though, there's so much potential there. There's so much potential there if they can get their heads out of their asses and get rid of these dumb fuck zealots that don't do anything because it's logical, don't do anything because it's intelligent. They do it because it feeds their ego, and then they can claim that Allah or God or whatever power they think they believe in, they can say that that's who made them do this, when it's all about their ego. So sit back and grab some popcorn, people, because I believe we are watching one hell of a show going on in the Middle East, and I think the finale is going to be epic. And I believe in the end it's going to either come together or come apart. That's my prediction. That's my solution. I mean, I know it's a rough solution, and there would need to be all kinds of fine-tuning, but maybe now that it's been said, maybe it'll generate a little talk. Maybe somebody will actually consider it. I don't have a lot of faith in the dunderheads here in America that make foreign policy, but it's worth a shot. And they always say that your voice will never be heard until you actually go and say what you got to say. And that's what I'm doing. So, peace out, people.